It's funny what a few days difference makes. We get these beautiful readings last few days in this first week of Advent. And here the prophet Isaiah is proclaiming the day is coming. This is looking toward the Messianic age. The day is coming. He's going to give us a strong city, set up walls and ramparts to protect us. He'll open the gates, let the just people in. It'll be a time of peace, and all of it because you trust in the Lord. And then we are encouraged to trust in the Lord. And same is true throughout the psalm, but the gospel goes a little further. It doesn't just speak about having a trusting heart, but about living our lives in a way that is wise. And the wisdom, it isn't to please God, it's so that God can protect us and help us and set up the rampart and let us into experience His justice. Because when we listen to what God asks of us to do and to be, and then we do it, He says it's like building your house on rock. Now, the point of that little brief passage that Jesus speaks to His disciples is, it's just wise to build your house on solid ground. I mean, who wants to build a house on quicksand and then wait for the quicksand to sink the house? That's just dumb. And so this isn't, rocket science. This is just wisdom. Build your house on solid ground. And the solid ground, the scriptures are telling us, is simply listening to the voice of God in our life. That listening it really has to be done deep in the heart and soul. Richard Rohr, that I often quote, speaks of the strongest tradition that we have in the church is contemplation, contemplating the voice of God. What do you want, God? What do you want for me to do? How do you want for me to live? How do you want for me to love? How can you help me to forgive? The more that we contemplate and build our lives on that relationship with Jesus Christ, with God our Father, and filled with the Spirit, the more our lives are going to be good. And I'll finally say that I mentioned it, I don't remember if I mentioned it on Thanksgiving Day or Sunday, about that huge stained glass window in this Lutheran church that was 3 blocks from my house. And I loved it because it was so bold. It was as tall as this wall. And all it was is Jesus standing at a door, and it wasn't even attached to a house. The door is just there, connected to a little wall. And Jesus is knocking, but there's no handle on the door. So the obvious thing is, if the door is going to open, it's going to open from the inside, because that's where the doorknob is. There isn't one on the outside. And I think even as a kid at 14, I looked at that and said, of course, that's it. I got to open the door. I got to let the Lord in. And I think that's what these scriptures are saying in the whole season of Advent. Let Him in. Let Him in. Come, Lord Jesus, come. Come in and fill my heart and my soul with your presence and your love.